have vendors got too good at selling? We're going to be talking about the amount of licenses that we've got, the amount of tech that accountants are buying, and basically, are we just terrible at implementing it?
Oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time implementing all of these things and actually I don't need them, and it's because they're lacking the focus.
Do you think we're now hitting that tipping point in the UK where, we're going, okay, we now need to consolidate?
Yeah, how many proposal softwares do we actually need?
I think the biggest problem is people don't know what they want initially.
I'm trying to put everything all in the right place, and then this amazing piece of software comes out of nowhere, or someone from the community says, have you tried this, have you tried that? And we go, well, that's easier than what I'm doing.
Easier to start again than to say, hang on a minute, what have I missed here?
It's the influencers, isn't it? They're the biggest issue, let's be honest.
It's us.
Got sold a piece of software that's going to solve my debtor issue. I then had the biggest load of debtors I've ever had in my career because I took the eye off the ball, right?
I've always seen software as like an extension to my team, and that's when I've had the best results, when I've seen my account manager as part of my team.
Like, whatever you sell, it's okay to sell it, you have to. That's how business works. But if you're selling something, continue the support.
Hello and welcome to the Digi-Tools and Accrual podcast, place to go for all your accounting tech news in the UK and beyond. This episode is brought to you by iPlicit, the mid-tier accounting solution for those businesses that are outgrowing the smaller accounting systems out there or need to move away from the traditional server or hosted solutions and into the modern world of cloud accounting. Now, we're doing something a little bit different this episode. Normally, I'm joined by the wonderful John Toon and Indy Tatler, but we're actually going to hark back to the Digital Disruptor Awards 2024, where we hosted a couple of live podcasts, one of them being on Have Vendors Got Too Good at Selling? Now, this was a bit controversial at the time. It was at the end of the evening where there'd been a few drinks, and we got really into the depths of accountants prone to Magpie syndrome. Is there, is there a general struggle to implement and use technology across clients? Is there a need for focus, understanding what businesses actually needs and driving a service line to deliver this? And what are the role of vendors? Are they selling the dream, or are they supposed to be supporting real life implementations and training? And we want to dive into the honest conversations that you should be having with your clients and within teams about what tech is truly useful. So take a listen. Hopefully you'll find it really interesting. Hello and welcome to the Digital Disruptor Awards evening. Hey, that actually worked. That's good. So we're kicking this off with our first live podcast of the evening. And I'm joined by the amazing Aaron Patrick from Ask the Accountant. We've got Zoe Whitman and Joe Wood from the Bookkeeper podcast. Welcome. And we're going to be diving into, I don't know if anyone can see the big screen behind us, but have vendors got too good at selling? We're going to be talking about the amount of licenses that we've got, the amount of tech that accountants are buying, and basically, are we just terrible at implementing it? So let's start this off with the first question to you, Aaron. And have accountants and bookkeepers got Magpie syndrome?
Well, I'm looking around this room here and I can see a few people who missold me, should I say, items. Ooh. So yeah, 100% have we got Magpie syndrome. And it's down to us, right? We're the problem. These wonderful people, the vendors that are here to solve us a problem, figure out what the issue is and sell it to us. And especially myself, if it's shiny and there's some sort of YouTube video on it, or I'm going to buy it. So yeah, we 100% have Magpie syndrome.
Aren't you the fault of those YouTube videos though, Aaron? Constantly doing new ones on new tech.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I am the problem.
And you actually created some shinies for people for your podcast.
Exactly. So I'm
you are the
fueling
problem.
the issue here. Yeah, 100%.
I just want to call out your trainers as well.
So, yeah.
Free merch, yeah, no, it's good. And Joe and Zoe, is that the same for bookkeepers? Because obviously, Aaron and I are accountants, and I think I'm similar. I see a lovely piece of new technology, and I get enthralled by it and want it. Is that the same for bookkeepers from your experience?
It is, but it comes from a different point of view, where there's comparisonitis, and they assume that they need it because they need to be like someone else, rather than that they want it for themselves, and they're like, oh, so-and-so's doing it, so they must be really good, so I need it. So I think it's coming from a different place when they consume all of these softwares and applications.
And is that, I guess, looking at accountants or looking at other bookkeepers? where are they getting that from?
I think there are lots of bookkeepers and accountants are parts of communities like this. And I mean, we've definitely seen it in our membership that we'll have bookkeepers saying, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time implementing all of these things and actually I don't need them. And it's because they're lacking the focus a lot of the time.
Yeah, so what I guess we end up with is bloated app stacks, like technology that we have, we're not using effectively. That's definitely something that's come over from Australia. We're definitely getting that vibe. They were, I guess, ahead of us. But do you think we're now hitting that tipping point in the UK where, we're going, okay, we now need to consolidate?
Well, we've got to consolidate, haven't we? Because I think from us as a practice, if we continue putting all the amazing tech that's out there, if we keep adding everything that if we go around Accountex tomorrow and take on every single vendor there, we're going to cripple ourselves. And I think most of it is down to the fact that we're still not found the right tool for each individual bit, and we keep playing around and we keep moving things around. And how many proposal softwares do we actually need? How many, as a firm, right? And that's our problem. We're still not found that perfect one that's going to fit every single time. And I think we're causing the problem by pushing it through. So.
And do you think that's kind of overselling, right? Because the vendors, you're out there, sell the dream. You can do everything. Woo! And then we pick it up and we just well, it's not doing what we want. Right? Do you experience that?
We've got to take responsibility. We're adults. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure John is.
Yes, we can all see things that we want, but you've got to make a decision of what it is that you want as a firm owner as to whether it's actually going to take you close to your goal. I think the biggest problem is people don't know what they want initially. So then they see that other people, and that's what I'm saying about the comparisonitis, they're looking left, they're looking right, they're thinking, oh, they've got that. They appear to be doing well, so hence I must need that. We introduce a lot of software to our audience because people need to know what's out there. And we are often really surprised because we will have a webinar with somebody and we will be using it ourselves in our own business, or I've used it in my firm, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. I don't think we're using the software we've already got, let alone the software that's being offered to us.
Joe, do you think that sometimes the problem is that people haven't taken the time to take the step back to say, if I map out a workflow for a customer, they join me, they go through this, they book a call, they have a conversation, then we onboard them and we do the AML, and then we move into this monthly bookkeeping process, and then we're going to need this day to day. People haven't done that. I'm not saying everybody, but I think that there definitely are people in our community who will say, this person says I should have this, so I'm going to spend all of my next 2 weeks implementing it, but actually they haven't gone back to, in my ideal business, what do things look like and what am I involved with, and how does this work? What technology are we using to interact with our clients?
But isn't that back to being that shiny magpie, though? Because that's the problem, right? We are there, sit there, trying to do our workflows. We're trying to get everything all working, trying to get everything all in the right place. And then this amazing piece of software comes out of nowhere, or someone from the community says, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And we go, well, that's easier than what I'm doing. Let's just go and use that one, because that's what we're sold, right?
It's easier to start again than to say, hang on a minute, what have I missed here, and ask the questions. And we need to go back to our account managers. Actually, our account managers have a bit of a responsibility here.
Well, is it that we think it's easier to jump onto a new piece of tech? I mean, maybe that's it. And I guess over the last 10 years, we've gone, we should be implementing technology, and that seems to have been pushed on everyone in the accountancy space. We need to be pushing this to our clients. But when are we trained in that? There's no point in our accountancy or bookkeeping education are we trained on how to understand how to implement technology. So is that something that we're actually launching into which we shouldn't?
Oh, I mean, there are trainers out there. There are some software doing it very well in terms of training and implementing and pushing it through. And I think I feel like the biggest problem is, and we'll talk about it on the after, it's the influencers, isn't it? They're the biggest issue, let's be honest.
It's us.
Yeah, because I think the problem is we make it sound so easy sometimes. We're like, oh, just use this piece of software and your problem's solved. Where, as Zoe was saying, it's not that. It's actually putting workflows in place. It's actually getting to the thing of it and actually finding out what our software does, right?
Yeah, and people don't allow, they think it's a quick fix, so they don't allow the time to implement the software and then train all their staff and then do the continuous development on that software as there's new updates and everything. So I know this from being in the industry for a very long time, I'm like, yeah, I'm using that software. And then 2 decades later, I look at it and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I did that. That would have made my life so much easier.
And is that because we're just overwhelmed by it now? Like, there's just so much change going so fast. So let's take this back a step. How do we solve that? How do the software vendors solve that?
Stop doing the work.
Stop just entirely. Stop all work.
Stop doing the operational work. Become the owner of your business. Step away from doing that tax return. Step away from doing the bookkeeping and start being the business owner and the CEO of your business. And then you can manage implementing software.
But as a counter to that, if you're not putting your hands into that software anymore, how do you know that's the right software for you?
Do you think, though, that it's a conversation with your clients? Because don't we need to understand it? Like, I think that we come in here and we're like, oh, I'm a business owner, so I know everything and I'm going to do it like this. But actually, we're here to help our clients, right? So do we need to have more conversations and ask more questions about what they expect?
Well, to some extent, it depends what you're doing. So obviously, I guess we've talked about we are trying to implement tech for our clients. We need to also implement it for ourselves. But are we doing this as a service externally, or is it just something that we iteratively go, maybe you should check out a piece of software? It's how much we want to be selling, really, in that space. And that, I think, is where possibly as a profession we've been pushed into, and we need to take a step back and go, is this something we should do, or we should partner with someone that can do it more effectively? What do you think?
So I think that every piece of software that I've ever used has been something that I've used as a business owner in my practice and benefited me as a business owner. So I think it's about an identity, realizing that you're not there just to serve clients, but you're actually a business owner. Does it serve you to use this software? If it does, then it will mostly serve your clients.
So I guess you've seen the boundary of you can advise those on the operational side if it's in your space, but if it's out your space, you step back and go, that's not my area. Is that how you operate?
Yeah, I'm very much, I'm going to only talk about what I know. Unless I see one of my clients needed something that I didn't know, then I'd offer them a solution. But with regards to bookkeeping and accountancy software and running a business, we've all got to realise we're business owners ourselves and we've all got debits and credits going through and bank recs that need to be done. What are you doing in your business? And how are you doing your own cash flow and how are you doing your own forecasting? And then if whatever works for you, that was the solution I was selling for my clients.
It's integrity, isn't it? You know, it's really easy to say, oh, I just use this thing I saw at a conference. But actually, to be able to say, I use this day to day. You know, we were traveling here earlier and I took a photo of a receipt and I was like, right, I'm going to upload it on my app. And like, we actually use apps in our business. So to be able to say, oh, actually it's really easy, is very different to being like, well, I heard it's all right. So, you know, maybe try that.
Yeah, and it's being honest, right? Being honest and open and not overselling. I guess, as you said, Aaron, we look at what is around us and we're like, we need to emulate what our competitors are doing rather than niching on what we're skilled at. But how can, I guess going back to it, how can the apps help us? Where have we failed, or where have the apps failed for us? And we're like, actually, we would really love it if you did this. Have you got any examples of that, Aaron, where you've like, this just hasn't worked and you'd love it if they did it in a different way?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, back to that being sold as the Magpie syndrome, I'll always remember as my practice thinking to myself, I don't need anything to help me with my debtors. I'm on top of that. And I was quite happy with my debtors and quite happy. I won't name names or anything, but I went and to a conference. I then got sold a piece of software that's going to solve my debtor issue. Didn't have a debtor issue at the time. Now, I took on this particular app, and I then had the biggest load of debtors I've ever had in my career because I took the eye off the ball, right? Because I was then relying on this piece of app. This app, and that wasn't the problem, the app, that was me. That was completely my issue. I didn't put the right workflows in. I didn't put it all into play. But for me, I was sold this dream that I don't need to worry about my debtors anymore.
What do you think happened that allowed you to be sold? That's what I'm curious about.
Very good question. I mean, they definitely sold me on this dream that going forward, I would get more money coming in. It'll be quicker. I'll have the money in my bank account a lot quicker than I've ever had before. And it's because they're brilliant sellers, right? And they're doing their job. And actually, the person who sold it to me did it completely right. Like, they were doing exactly what they should do.
They had nothing to do with the actual process, though.
No, they almost left me to it. And because I then took my eye off the ball, I had more debtors than I've ever had in my life, and suddenly I had an issue. And, ironically, that software caused the issue. So, and I think that's what it's about, right? Like, for us, as an industry, I think we just need to take ownership sometimes. I mean, like you were saying, like there has to be, we're adults. I don't like admitting it, but we're adults, right? And I think you're right to say that. And we've got to take ownership for it.
So I guess, do you think that there was anything that app could have done differently that would have made that effective for you? Or is it just entirely on you picking the wrong thing?
It's me not taking my own advice. If this, like you guys were saying, if you're going to talk about a piece of software and you're going to implement it with your clients, you sit them down, you talk them through, you go through the process and everything else, right? So why are we not doing that ourselves? Why are we in complete honesty for me, it was, they sold me that I'm going to get all this time back that I can then invest X, Y, Z. And we're terrible as accountants, right? If we grab, and bookkeepers, if we take some time away from ourselves and we save some time, what do we do straight away? We backfill it with more tasks and we put more time on ourselves. That time that I saved, I was just then filling it up with X, Y, Z from, where really I should have taken ownership. I should have kept my own controls in place. I shouldn't have been over-reliant on that particular app.
Okay, all right. So I want to ask a question, and it'd be good to get your thoughts on this, both from the accountants and the bookkeeping element. Should we, as accountants, be helping our clients implement tech at all? Sarah and Joe.
Say that again, sorry.
Should we be helping our clients implement tech? As accountants, should we be doing it?
100%.
But outsource it to your software.
Look, you two just gave completely different answers there.
Yeah, do you want me to sell your software to my clients? Help me onboard my clients.
So you're thinking you'll work with the software partner, but you're basically outsourcing it entirely to them.
I did that a few times.
And you think they're good at it.
They know the software better than me. It doesn't mean I'm not involved, and I know the client maybe better. But I think it's a case of, I've always seen software as like an extension to my team, and that's when I've had the best results, when I've seen my account manager as part of my team, and we've had regular updates and got them involved, and they've got to know my clients, and they understand my client base and who's going to benefit most from the software. Because sometimes when you're learning something new about software, you don't actually recognize it yourself. So ask and see if you can get some support around it, because maybe you are not the best. I know we're all control freaks and we think that we're the best at everything, but I very much realise that I'm definitely not when it comes to software and technology. I'll be there on the call and I'll support and understand and maybe set the boundaries and the accountability for what my client needs to do for the next step. But I think we should all use our software providers and our account managers a lot more and be part of our team, because I think they'd benefit and we'd benefit.
Is that something they've got right or something that they can improve?
It's a mixture. Some are amazing at that and some have got to do some work, but
That's
some
fair.
don't know that you don't know what you don't know. So that's why we're here.
And everyone's different, right? I like an account manager that doesn't pester me, right? I like one that's just there, reactive, whereas it sounds like you want one that's, on you and going, well, that's probably not the right term, but basically going and working with you in a very close way to help your clients.
We spend a lot of money with software providers. We need them supporting us, championing us, chasing us up. Set goals with them. You want them saying, hey, last month when I spoke to you, you said this was what you were working on. How is it going? Because I think that's the biggest problem when you're leading a business. You are actually quite lonely. There's nobody really who understands it. And I'm very fortunate to have a business partner. But if you haven't got a business partner, there's no one who's your sounding board. And your software vendor, they are invested in you getting results. So, use them as a partner, as that sounding board to get that support. And also, they're seeing best practice. They're seeing other businesses like yours. So they can say, well, okay, so that didn't work for you, but I'm working with this other business and this is working for them. So maybe you can take some of that.
I think my only counter to it, and I completely agree with everything you're saying, my only counter, and it's happened to me in the past, is at the end of the day, when we're looking at software, when we're looking at these vendors and these people, it's business advisory, it's our baby steps into it, right? We're looking at ways in which we can, what we all want to do, we want to help the small businesses grow, we want to make them thrive, we want to help them out. So we kind of get almost, again, looking at trying to find the shiniest tech for them to help them and push them through. But the only thing I'd say is if we push everything onto the vendor, sometimes if they have a bad experience, it taints our experience. There's nothing we've done wrong. And I think your argument would be, well, let's make sure we go with the right people, right? And we do the due diligence on those vendors and we make sure that they're going to do it 100%. Yeah. But sometimes that maybe the person who you have a great relationship isn't away and they get passed to someone else and they have a terrible relationship. So that's the only thing you've got to be careful, right?
We all move account managers multiple times. So
unless you're with QuickBooks, obviously, but that's one for another day. But it is true, though, if you have a bad experience, right? If you do have that, or if the client has a bad experience, that could taint your relationship. And I've lost clients.
that sounds like you're a control freak again, doesn't it?
Oh, I am, of course I am. But that's the risk you play, right? And I think everyone's got to be aware of that.
I think it's really, like, Joe and I as business owners, you are a really great people person, people manager. And we don't run a bookkeeping practice together, but I am very much like head down, get on with it. So I can see why, as somebody who knows how they want things to be, knows how they want people to work through the process, but yet is very time poor, it can be a real challenge to like onboard a client with a new software vendor, whereas Joe, like delegation, sorted. So like take a leaf out of her book. But I think you've got to, if you make the plan, like, you in the room, you're the influencer, the person who's leading the business. If you can say, we're using this in our business, it's working really well, this is why, sell it to the client, and then say, but the next step is we need to onboard you, and this is what it's going to look like. And if you've agreed that, and the client's agreed that, I think you're good. I think you can hand over.
So would you ever partner with a consultant that would do this on your behalf, like a digital transformation specialist? Is that something you do?
Absolutely. If this is not your skill set, outsource it. Like, be in control, but like we've said, we've realised that recently with lots of bookkeepers, they are the best placed people to do like cash flow analysis because they're doing weekly or daily bookkeeping. Do they want to have a conversation? Do they want to talk through someone's cash flow? Maybe not. Maybe that's not the skill set. So know your limitations, and if you need someone else to come, you could go into a meeting with a business coach or a digital transformation person and be there and have all the numbers and not like sell the dream or what it is. That's absolutely fine. Like know what you're good at and pass on everything else.
Is that the same for you, Zoe?
Yeah, do that.
Zoe would do it all because she's a control freak.
Yeah. And Aaron, same for you?
Yeah, and like we've got rooms like this full of just people who've got niches in every single thing we can think of, right? Like the world seems so much closer now, doesn't it? Like there's so many great, your community. Like there's communities everywhere that've got people there. So I feel like we're in a better position than ever before to find that niche and find that opportunity there. So definitely.
I mean, and think about how far we've come in 10 years, right? We're like the amount of tech that we've brought into our own firm, helped our clients implement. We're always evolving. But I guess there's one takeaway from this. Like, what would your advice... Well, I guess you've already, I think, unanimously agreed it's all us, not them. But what would your one piece of advice be to software vendors to help that journey? Aaron?
I think my big advice would be to continue with that training bit. I'm a huge trainer. Like, my background is TWN, it's QuickBooks trainers. I go out there and I train and train and train. And I've just got this whole thing about training. And I do think from a vendor point of view, they're just, especially now, we're changed completely with it all being online. You've got the ability to do videos. You've got all of that amazing opportunity. I think we just need that little bit more help. Like, just give us an opportunity to do it. And one thing I do like of the community at the moment is there are a lot more live options to go and talk, a lot more webinars and stuff like that. We just need to continue with that trend. We need to know that your software now does X, Y, Z, like we were saying, right? We need to know those updates. We want to see those updates. We want to have that thing there. And I think if we can just put that training hat on more and just put more emphasis on training, when it is more accessible than it's ever been before, we don't need to go to the individual practices anymore and go into the room and do it there. We don't need that anymore, right? Now, the world's so much smaller, we can have the opportunity just to go and do more training. I think if we can keep doing that training, I think we're better.
It's persistence, isn't it, really? Joe?
I'm going to say the opposite.
Controversial.
I'm going to say, if you've not done the training, outsource it to someone that has. And let go of your ego and realise you're not always the best placed person.
I get the feeling you outsource everything, Joe. That's where we're going with this. Outsource.
Sunday roast, outsourced.
I actually cook my Sunday roast.
That
I
is
don't
her thing.
outsource the cooking, do I?
Yorkshire puddings.
I outsource the hoovering, the washing and everything else, and the shopping. But, yeah, no, I just think sometimes we do always believe. When I had the most success in my business was when I realised that I'm not the only person that can do everything. And don't get me wrong, I'm constantly learning and training, but it doesn't mean I need to deliver every single thing and become a control freak. I've had to let go. I've got 3 kids as well. I can't do everything. So I've had to let go in order, and actually what I've realised is other people are a lot better than I am, and my clients have actually benefited from that. It doesn't mean I don't drop in and speak to them and stuff, but I think we naturally, if you're an entrepreneur, you constantly are on a learning journey and you want to have that, but sometimes we need to learn when we need to step away.
and Zoe, is it outsourcing?
Work with Joe, outsource. But also, I think what's really important to remember is that it's okay to sell. We're business owners, whatever you sell, it's okay to sell it. You have to. That's how business works. But if you're selling something, continue the support. Whether you're selling accountancy or selling software or whatever you're selling, keep the conversation going, ask questions and find out what people need more with, because there is a human element that's always going to be really important, whether it's training or whether it's finding out who you can delegate it to. It's that conversation that will keep it going.
Cool. Well, no, thank you. And it seems like it's not that the vendors are good at selling, it's that we just like buying. And we
Especially me.
Especially,
I'll buy anything.
Just
anyone
come
want
to speak to
to sell something?
and we do training more, outsource everything, and sell. So we've got a lot to work on. And that brings to the end of another Digi-Tools and Accrual podcast. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening to one of our live sessions from the 2024 Digital Disruptor Awards. But if you want to catch it this year live, please ensure you sign up to the waitlist, which can be found on LinkedIn, in the show notes, and on any of our channels, because we're going to be promoting this quite actively over the course of the next month. It was a very well taken up show last year with lots of energy and enthusiasm, and we'd love you to be a part of it this year. But more importantly, what we do want are your nominations for the 2025 Digital Disruptor Awards. Please do find the nomination form in the show notes and make sure that you put forward who you think is worthy of one of the awards. It is you that makes sure that we are aware of all of the best in tech and people pushing the world digital forward. And we want to make sure that we represent everyone in this space. And we hope to catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening.